All right, so this is April 2nd, 2026 Crossplane Community Meeting. Let me go ahead and drop a link to the doc in the Zoom chat, so folks can go ahead and add either themselves as attendees or add some agenda items if you want to there. We've had a trend of having demos every single time, and the demo I wanted folks to show off isn't going to be possible from because Christopher Haar, who is driving the feature for resource state metrics, is off this entire week. So he won't be here to show it. Hopefully, I can get him to do it next time. So we have a little backup demo if we want to get into it, but otherwise, the agenda is a little bit lighter, I think, than normal today. But let's dive into it. So we are in the midst of the 2.3 release milestone. Um, there is a fair amount of stuff moving and shaking there. I think that we haven't had as much velocity as we as I would have wanted to so far, but there's been things that are getting merged in. There's progress and features that are happening. So as we talked about last time at the very beginning of the milestone, there is this pretty much the same scope of things we're thinking about delivering here. So, we'll talk a little bit more later on about the, community effort of taking some various developer experience focused efforts and putting them into a single kind of unified Crossplane CLI experience there. So that's ongoing. Adam's been driving that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We still want to be able to merge the work that Christopher Haar had been doing around making sure you can't delete a provider while it still has resources in play, so you don't accidentally delete your resources. That's super important. The Crossplane state metrics stuff is done. That's an alpha level at least. That's merged. That's available. There's a release out for people to try. We showed it off on stage at KubeCon too, so that's all done. And hey, Bob, a quick question for you. Have you and Lovro gotten time to take a look at the management policy stuff that we backed out at the last minute from 2.2?
No, I haven't had time. I have in my head what I want to do, but or what I think we should do. Um, but I just haven't gotten it down on code yet. So
Got it. But so you're not like blocked on like Lovro's availability or
no,
anything like that so far?
no.
Okay. Excellent. Um, from what I recall, Bob, is that Lovro was pretty gung ho on saying he would make time for you. So if you're not getting that, then let me know to try to put some pressure on him as well.
Yeah, no, I'm blocked on me more than anything else.
Which is definitely definitely not something that I could help out with.
Yeah, I need a time machine.
Can I use it after you do? That sounds nice. Okay, sweet. So yeah, hopefully we can make progress on that though. We can get that in to do that three because I know it's important for you and it provides a nice experience for other folks. But yeah, lots of stuff going on there. I'm just gonna open the release board just to see the status of it. We're not gonna go through it, but there's yeah, okay. So the 12 things done, 14 things in review right now, and some about the same size that are in backlog. So yeah, we're making some progress. Like there's probably at least 10 of these that I would love to review myself and contribute to that soon. So I was pretty busy getting ready for KubeCon, but now that that's over, I would love to be able to keep donating some time to move some of these things to the done column as well, so we can have another packed full release for everybody. All right. Any other notes about 2.3 from folks? Okay. Cool. Then let's keep moving. So let's talk about ecosystem stuff. I'm gonna check the attendee list and see if there's anybody here from like the Crossplane ecosystem focus team. Sergen provided these notes, but I don't think he's here. No, I don't think so. Okay, well, first, a whole bunch of new stuff, new releases, all the releases I found from the announcements channel and whatnot. I popped into this list here. So, Stephen, I know you had a release a Rama day for like 5 different things. Do you want to quickly catch us up on what all that was, what the new stuff there?
Yeah, I think first of it, and I don't know if Bob's online, but there's a new release of Function SDK Go that remediates a CVE that was in upstream Go. So because our functions use gRPC, I just updated a Function SDK Go and updated a lot of those. Um, there are a couple other things there, like function deletion protection has some more features today. Like you can now set like a reason and replay deletion. So, and we've moved to using annotations instead of labels so that it's more aligned with Kubernetes standards.
Oh, nice. And Stephen, I think this was probably one of the things that I was hoping to get a demo from sometime soon. So we always have a demo at the community meeting. Is that something that you want to sign up for in the upcoming community meeting or last minute
It,
today, even?
I don't know if I could get it up for today. Let me see, but let's put me on for the next meeting, and
Okay.
I'll see if I could spin up an environment and get it something up
Yeah. All right. Sweet.
to be
Thanks for
right
your
away.
willingness there.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then TypeScript stuff too. Stephen, that was also you, my friend. You busy bee. Another release of latest support for TypeScript stuff and functions and Crossplane.
Yeah, I believe at this one it is up to date with all the features of the Python and the Go SDK.
Oh, nice. Full feature parity with
Yeah,
with
required
Python and
resources.
Go.
Yep,
Is that also that's also including the required schemas and stuff too?
yep,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Stephen,
yeah.
amazing, dude. That is
So
incredible.
yeah,
So TypeScript is on par with functionality for Go and Python too.
yeah.
Very
I mean, I could be
that's
missing
really cool.
something, but yeah, that was one of my goals.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. And then Jesus, do you want to talk about the stuff you're adding here too?
Yeah, that was quite simple stuff. When I was trying to upgrade some of the providers like PagerDuty, I figured out that the generated code was basically incorrect, like not non-compliant with 2.2. So I went up and tried to see how and why that was being generated. It turned out to be objects not being updated and compliant to Crossplane Runtime 2.2. Yeah, basically a couple of changes here and there. Took a little bit more than expected to get it approved, but finally it's there. And I think there were a couple of other providers blocked because of that, including Update AWS, if I recall properly, but I guess it was already unblocked.
Oh, wonderful. And I have a very vague memory. Maybe you can remember it too. For during the 2.2 release, these kind of breaking controller runtime changes kind of came in very late, and there were some issues that were opened to handle them in core crossplane. To stop using the deprecated APIs, basically. Later on, essentially, is what you did here in this PR, is that relevant to the core crossplane needs as well? Do you know?
Not sure what you refer to be honest. It was just, in this case, it was just the missing annotations.
Oh,
So
okay.
I tried to explain there, but it was very simple. So that get event recorded for, it was
Got
replaced,
it.
and there is still something missing. And I think it's so now object is producing code that is incorrect from the point of view of linters, and
Yes. Okay.
but
Yeah,
there's
that's what I was
nothing we
thinking of in
can
core
do.
crossplane.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yep.
I could do in, let's say, in object.
Got it.
That's something that you have to, let's say, omit in the produce code yourself, and that's it.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for explaining that.
Okay.
Eric, you've got your hand raised, my friend.
Yeah. So with the fix that you're talking about in UpJet, like I think I was looking, I don't know if it was the same issue or a different issue related to identifiers not being set properly with newer Terraform framework. And I have a PR out for that, but has yours already been merged? Is it the same fix?
Was that for Jesus, Eric, in this PR
Yeah, yeah,
here?
yeah, sorry, I'm actually in transit, so I can't really see the screen very well.
That's fair.
So the question was, sorry, did you have another fix for the same issue?
Well,
If
I'm trying to figure out if it is the same issue. Like I
ah,
ran into problems with UpJet where it was like after trying to get up to the 2.5 version of the AWS provider UpJet, certain resources stopped working, as well as I'd been working on the Cloudflare provider, and it just was not working with UpJet
I don't know if it's
because of
the
these
same
issues.
issue or not. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I
think
have
it's different
no.
problem.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, so it just seems like there's a couple of things going on with UpJet right now, and what's the, how can we go and get those things addressed to unblock folks who are working on this?
Yep, and if someone finds the issue number for that kind of captures any of that discussion there and drop it in the notes here, then we can follow up to check in with the UpJet maintainers as well. I'll be happy to take a follow up to make sure that there's some traction there. And Patrick, I saw that you wanted we could talk to the function Pythonic release as well too.
Yeah. So I did update function Pythonic. The main there we go. The main thing was to get um sch the schema support and capabilities of the 2.2. So that's now all in there and supports the ability to use both of those. Um, and then I also enhanced you can package up shared Python library packages and modules basically in config maps so that provides access to those scripts. I I enhanced that to also um, allow you to package it up in an environment config, which will give you an entire directory structure rather than just the config maps could only install, be configured into a single package location. So the environment configs, like I say, you can do an entire package hierarchy if that's appropriate. I also threw in being able to package it up in compositions, basically in the step. It can in its input, it can declare a packages entire hierarchy. And what that's can be useful is being able to then include that in a cross-plane configuration package that gets deployed. So you can include, code in a configuration package. I also, I've got a really cool feature of Pythonic these days is is the render command. And I essentially replicated the crossplane render CLI for in pure Python for a pure function Pythonic composition. And that and it basically it replicates everything that's going on there. But what's a really cool feature that I added that's beyond what crossplane render does is being able to do a render and point it to an existing Kubernetes cluster where all the composed resources, the observed states are retrieved from, all any secrets used, any required resources, any required schemas are used, are all dynamically pulled from the cluster that you point it to, and you can locally render your compositions. And it's really fast. It doesn't have to interact with a with deploying images out to a Docker engine.
That's that's interesting, Patrick, and because I immediately thought of Crossplane Diff. So answering me this question, John, if so what Patrick was just saying there is that it sounds like the one of the big benefits I could see from that functionality is that use like when you have to use past like a set of observed resources, et cetera, to Crossplane render, it's kind of a pain. It's kind of
Nope. Was Jared having connection issues?
Like, how
Yeah.
would you behave if you saw those? That sounds really, really cool. And John, does, you know,
Yeah, I think he's disconnecting.
We see you back now, but
oh,
you
good.
went away for a second.
That's a
Uh,
bummer.
Seems you didn't pay the internet bill. No, yeah, so yeah, you're going away again. Turn off your video, maybe. Less data up.
Okay, maybe I am.
You're back again. Maybe turn off your video.
Yeah, maybe I should try that. Okay. Yeah, John, if you want to go ahead and if you've got the question or not.
I got the prelude to the question, but I didn't get the
Got it.
question itself.
Got it. Yeah, it was basically about like
Ouch.
Oh,
for
no.
Crossplane diff.
Internet does not like him today.
I think you're asking how that feature compares to Crossplane Diff. Diff does the same thing. It reaches out to your cluster for all of the resources. So basically, what it does is it takes the render loop of Crossplane render. There's like a render. There's it wraps it in a thing called render with requirements, where basically it calls render, and then as an output of render, you get back a list of requirements that weren't satisfied. So then we go through and satisfy all those requirements by calling out to the cluster. And then at the end of it, we actually read what's in the cluster and compare that to what's been generated by the composition pipeline that you're diffing. And so we do that for a diff of an XR, or a set of XRs, or a composition. So if you've changed a composition, we basically read the update policies, composition update policies of all of the XR, all the of the composition itself, and then like the composition refs in all of your XRs to figure out what would actually change downstream if you changed it. And we spit all that out.
Okay, that sounds good. I may take over for Jared, since he's having such internet issues.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let me just share here. All right. Do we have anything else on the ecosystem side? Any contributions that anyone wants to talk about? I know one with the provider Upjet AWS, there's the AWS Bedrock core was added to that. So that was a big thing that I know a lot of people were interested in. All right. And Jared, when you get back, just let us know. The next thing that's coming in is, I know there's a lot of work. I don't know if we have anybody here from the Upjet team to talk about the some of the improvements that are coming into the CRD lifecycle, just to make that a little bit more smoother. So let's take a look at this. And I know that there was a PRD for this that came out. And I think is there anyone who could speak on this? Maybe we'll save it for the next meeting that's coming out. And I could say here, just in general, that one thing we've seen as a pain point is basically multiple versions and the webhook conversions. We've seen a lot of cases where this actually causes an outage. Somehow the webhook conversion fails, or there's certain conditions in which webhooks, don't always activate. So, all right.
Yeah.
Anything? Go ahead.
There's if anyone's using Argo, it's a common issue. When one of those breaks, it'll kill your Argo applications. Because Argo can't tell which ones are affected by the problem. Kind of kills the cache. But I wanted to let you guys know there is a fix that's in progress with Argo for that as well on their end.
Do you have a link for that?
I did. I wrote it, but I will find that link.
Okay, yeah. Could you put in if you put in the doc, that'd be awesome. Thank you. All right, let's move on to community topics and questions. Obviously, we're coming out of KubeCon, and there were a lot of great talks and demos. I was just looking today. I don't think the videos have been posted yet. But there were a couple of really good blogs here. I thought this blog by Vlad was quite good. Let's see if that comes up. Goes through LinkedIn. Yeah, and this is probably more for
Did we also lose Steven?
Sounds like.
I'm back, baby.
Welcome back.
Hey, Steven, are you on mute?
Yeah, I'm on mute. My Zoom just dropped there for a second when I was trying to open up another link. So,
oh, weird.
How's your internet going?
As always, you all tell me.
I'll let you lead again, though.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Yeah, be prepared to jump back in, Steven. Yeah, Francois, I was telling you this morning, right, that we had an outage with Vu, are now part of Orange, right? And they were doing work all day, and I don't know if they'll have to come back tomorrow, or maybe I'll give you a call and have you send out your boys. All right. Okay. Where were we, Stephen?
You're just getting to community topics, so I talked about Vlad's blog, and then I was just getting to the Crossplane 2.2 blog.
Got it. Cool. Yeah. So I guess I'll leave these links here for folks to check out on their own there. The Crossplane v.2.2 blog seem to be very popular, so that's a nice reminder for us. Is we don't always get around to doing these, but they do seem to be useful for folks when we make them. So we'll try to keep on doing that for everybody. All right, as we mentioned at the beginning, the KubeCon Amsterdam was last week. It was great. There was a ton of excitement and popularity for Crossplane as a project. Lots of people were at the talks. Lots of people came to the booth. It was fantastic. I don't think the recordings are up just yet, but you can check back on these links here to find the talks and see the recordings when they're up. So do check back on that. Cool. And then Adam isn't around this week, so I'll just give a little plug here. So the work that everybody in 6CLI has been doing is moving along. And then Adam showed off on the stage at KubeCon a demo of what this Crossplane DevX looks like for treating a control plane as a software project and having automated tooling for testing and all that sort of stuff. So folks are welcome to go through this demo here that shows basically kind of what we expect to have for in the 2.3 timeframe. And shows kind of a complete developer experience about generating XRDs and running tests and setting up control planes and all this sort of stuff. It's really quite awesome. So you can see the recording, you can go through the demo here, and of course, like this, an invitation to give feedback as well while this effort's going on. So pop into SIG CLI and you can participate there. Also on stage at KubeCon, we went ahead and showed off the work that we've been doing in resource state metrics. So if folks want to check that out, we gave a demo at KubeCon. This is really like a way to basically get metrics for anything you want in Crossplane. It's super powerful. You can do all sorts of queries and stuff. You can get metrics about like, not just what's failing, but like not just like the number of things that are failing, but which ones are failing. It's a super powerful language here. So I encourage people to check it out and have a lot of flexibility with their metrics. And then, as I mentioned before, yeah, here's kind of a way to run that demo as well. This is what we gave in Amsterdam. And it kind of can help you understand the full scope of all this stuff here. Maybe we can give this as a demo next month when Chris is back also. But a lot of very, very useful functionality here. Okay. And then I did want to put a plug in here. So we are hoping to have a certification program with the CNCF where, you can get, there's like a training material and a test and whatnot. And just like, you could be a Kubernetes, admins or, all those different certifications for being Kubernetes certified. We're hoping that you can do the same thing for Crossplane as well. So if they select us, then we'll need a group of, a handful of folks that are subject matter experts in Crossplane that want to help shape this certification program. So folks might be interested in that. Good opportunity to another way to contribute to the project and share your experience with folks. And you can always just ping me if you have interest in doing that. And I'll keep a little list of folks that want to get involved. And then if we get selected by the CNCF to do this, then I'll make sure everybody gets connected there. All right. Francois, do you want to go ahead and take over now for your namespace restriction design stuff?
Yep, I'm on it.
Excellent.
Just have to select the right screen. Here we go. Yeah, so I just want to present this feature for Crossplane we've been working on with my team. So initially it was just a security issue, and then it became a little bit more. I just want to, so there's a one-pager in the design section of Crossplane presenting the feature. It's a little bit old now. It's from last year, I believe, May 2025. But basically everything we did is present in this design document. So the initial goals were to enable or at least limit rights and permissions for Crossplane on the cluster, which is why we added things to restrict the Crossplane controller pods service accounts permissions on the cluster with different options. The first one being namespace scope Kubernetes native resources only in Crossplane's own namespace. What that means is that initially Crossplane was looking at resources on the whole cluster, especially when it started to initialize a cache. So the pull request is here. So we added an option which is restrict cache options. I think the name has a little bit changed since, but basically what it does is make Crossplane initialize its cache from, I believe it's from controller runtime, only with resources in its own namespace. The idea is to have Crossplane service accounts with restricted permissions, or at least not permissions on things such as deployments, secrets, service accounts, config maps, and basically Kubernetes native resources on the whole cluster and only in Crossplane's namespace, so that it doesn't require to have access to resources that may not be directly related to Crossplane. That was the first kind of contribution, the first option we added. The other one is for events. So you may or may not know, or at least I learned it from this, that events on cluster scoped resources are by default, and that's a Kubernetes standard, they are emitted in the default namespace, which can be problematic if Crossplane doesn't have access to the default namespace, which is, in our case, well, it's the case for us. So we added an option to disable events on namespaces that are not directly Crossplane's namespace, including default for cluster scoped resources. One interesting thing with this pull request was that we added a filter function in Crossplane runtime. So basically, maybe you've seen this. So basically, in the default option, we have an event filter list of functions, and we can basically, well, these are callbacks, and we can control whether or not an event is emitted based on basically whatever we want. So by default, the filter function is returns true if the event is in Crossplane's own namespace and false if it's in another namespace. One thing that's not present in the one pager and that we discovered a little bit later was that even when webhooks were disabled in Crossplane, the controller still tried to delete pre-existing webhook configurations. And so it was causing issues if Crossplane didn't have permissions on webhook configurations. So we disabled this entirely. So basically right now, what we have running in our team is this. So we have three options: enable webhooks files to disable webhooks since they are cluster scoped resources. Restrict namespace events, as I explained, to disabled emitting events in the default namespace. And the first one I presented, so watch cache namespace to true, to avoid giving too many permissions to Crossplane on resources that are not related to its core workload. So that's basically the current state of the feature. In the initial proposal, there was the Helm chart was involved. The idea was to have one single variable, which would, well, first of all, disable the RBAC manager, which is which actually deploys too many permissions, and we have actually disabled it in our use case. So that's the first thing. And then it enabled the three options I just presented to you. This isn't still not done. I know I have a draft PR. Jared, you actually have some comments which I have not yet replied to, I'm sorry. But this initial pull request was a little bit too big, and I split it in smaller pull requests. So the next step is to kind of take this idea, the initial idea with the Helm chart variables, and work on it, integrate this into the current version of Crossplane. Possible next step is a proposal by Alexander Singh. I don't know if they are present currently in the community meeting, but I believe it's interesting, and maybe if you have thoughts on this feature, I would like to hear about them. So the idea is to not only restrict Crossplane's rights on its own namespaces for said resources, but is to add a list of namespaces on which Crossplane would have rights. The use case is maybe to have different teams working with Crossplane on the same cluster. Well, at least I guess so. And so each Crossplane instance would have rights on their own namespace, the list of namespaces they are configured with. I still don't really know what it would look like with cluster-wide resources such as I don't know functions providers, etc. But if you have any suggestions on this proposal, I would be glad to hear them. And I believe that's it on the state of this feature. Let me know if you have things to say.
Yeah, thanks for walking us through that, Francois. One of my big questions is like in order to help like steward this contribution, and you've been very patient on this and kind of plugging away at it for a while, so thank you very much for continuing to make progress on it, and and it's good to see you in Amsterdam as well. So I feel more very invested in this feature now that like we've met, and like I've seen your patience, dude. So I really want to support you here. So to help you the most, like is there things that you need help with on the Helm chart related PR? It's like you still what you need to do to get in there and kind of get that updated to get it more aligned with some of the other merged PRs that you already did get in. Like are there some unknowns or things you need help with immediately on that Helm chart PR?
For the Helm chart, no, I would basically take this the old pull request I had and update it because it's a little bit old now. And of course, once I publish the pull request, I will hear from your reviews and feedback. So since that's kind of the next step, I can work autonomously on this. But later, afterwards, maybe this proposal can be interesting to talk about. There's an issue. I believe I linked it in the community meeting notes. I can check this. Yeah, it's right there. And so if you want to talk about it, maybe check it out and write comments on it.
And yeah, one of my questions for you, Francois, was this particular request here, this or proposal, this for 7026, is that something that's important for your use case as well, or is this like, hey, this is related to my use case, and so maybe it could be good to keep driving it? Like, yeah, so how important is it for your deployment in your team?
That's more of the second option.
Okay.
It's related to the initial feature, but it's not a must-have for us. Same thing for the Helm chat, by the way. It was in the initial proposal, and I think it's important. And if other people want to use this feature, it will be simpler, but it's not a must-have for us.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I love that community mentality of like, hey, if this is useful for other people, even though it's not critical for us, like keep continuing to drive it. That's amazing. So thank you for having that mentality to help the community out. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, for the Helm chart stuff, since that like slims down the cluster role permissions aspect. How without that Helm chart update, how are you dealing with that in your environment right now with the work that you've already done? Is that part not critical for you guys?
We are well, it would simplify things, but we are currently deploying Crossplane kind of manually, if I say.
Okay.
So we are deploying the CRDs on one part, the permissions and role binding, cluster roles and cluster bindings on another part, and then the whole deployment.
Oh, okay. So you're not relying on like the RBAC stuff that's included in the Helm chart specifically.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me now. And now I was wondering like how your implementation so far was complete if the Helm chart changes weren't done yet. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, cool. So yeah, when I looked at this earlier today, I had a couple ideas, or kind of things to consider, especially around this proposal as well too. So I'll be happy to drop some comments on this issue and on the ongoing PR too, because I think Philippe had made some comments, and I want to kind of keep going with those. So yeah, so I've already done some thinking on that. I can drop some comments on all this stuff too, and then like since you've got this momentum now, and you continue to want to drive this, like yeah, do feel free to work with me directly on this. You can DM me whatever, and we can kind of keep. I'll try to support you as you make progress on this, man.
Okay, Thanks for your support. And also, I wanted to apologize about your connection issues. Yes, I will be sending soldiers from Orange.
Just send them over. Yeah, it was actually really funny, Francois, when we were walking back, like because it had an outage all day. When we were walking back from going on a walk or whatever, we saw some workers like with Orange truck, and they were up on a roof and like cutting some cables, and like the cables were just falling down. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we got to make a little mess before we get better here.
Yeah, you were right to be worried. When you sent me this morning.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for your work here.
Thank you, Jared.
All right. Okay, cool. Then yeah, you can stop your share, and then let's check in back on the agenda. Yeah, so Stephen, how is your environment for maybe a quick 15-minute function deletion protection demo? Is it gonna be possible?
Yeah. I could do it, and it won't even be 15 minutes. It'll be maybe 5 or so. But
cool.
Yeah, let me
take it away, my friend.
Share. All right, folks. So we're going to talk about function deletion protection. We released version 030 last week. And basically what the goal of this function is to prevent the deletion of crossplane resources. And the way it does that is it automatically creates crossplane usages. And so a crossplane usage, what it does is, if you're not familiar, is it creates a webhook that blocks deletion requests, and it returns, I believe, a 409 error code. So you never get to the case in Kubernetes where you delete something, because in Kubernetes, when you delete something, deletion is permanent, right? The object gets a deletion timestamp, and it becomes limited to what you could do with that object, and you can't recover from that state. So what the usage does is prevent the case where you could ever get to a point where the deletion hits the API server. So that's what a usage does.
Is he also on Orange?
I hope not.
I was wondering if it was my connection again here.
For my reputation, I hope not.
Did we lose Steve? Oh, Steven's back entirely.
I apologize. Now. I guess my network's off today too. I don't know why. Where did I end up?
You're only gone for like 10 seconds, Steven.
Okay.
So it was not long.
Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about how this works. If you look at a composition, it's a function, right? So what you do is I have a composition here that does our configuration AWS network, and I have a pipeline that just does some inline KCL, and function deletion protection comes in at the end. It's a simple step here. You basically just call the function. There's only 2 inputs. The first one is a cache. Crossplane, I think starting at 1.20 or 1.19 has a function response cache, so you could cache the outputs. The second one is enabling V1 mode. So I have this set to false. It automatically creates V2 type usages. So that means if it comes across a cluster object, it'll create a cluster usage. And if it comes across a namespace usage, it'll create a V2 usage. And that's basically how you enable it in a function. So what I've done here is I've deployed this, the function that I have is your basically configuration AWS network. So I've already deployed that. So if you look here at this side, and I'll make this a tiny bit bigger. You can see here I have a top level network. And then underneath it, I have things like subnets and route tables. So this is an AWS VPC. So what I'm going to do here is the way this function works is we could go here. And basically what you do is you set an annotation on the object, right? So we're going to set this kind of annotation on the object, and we're going to see what happens over here with this. So I have the VPC, and we're going to put a protection annotation on it. And if I hit enter here, it's annotated. And then you can see immediately there's 2 usages that are created. Now, because I'm creating namespace scoped objects, This was created as a V2 namespace scope. Now you could see that there's one for the VPC itself. It created a usage for it. And the other one is if a usage on any resource within a composition, it will actually protect the composition too. So the behavior is that the composition itself cannot be deleted if you have a usage protecting one of the sub-resources in it. The other things you can do is you could set a custom reason and replay deletion. So, we could do something like this. So let me just copy that. And let's just that here. We'll just set the annotation and hit. We got to put an equal sign here. All right, and then if we look at the VPC, that got more than I wanted, but basically, yeah, you could set and read.
Uh-oh, did we lose Steven again?
Yeah, I think so.
We're so close here.
That's actually an interesting function. I on our side we currently do it like through our custom functions where but like we want to map, the usage between different resources, like don't delete, like to control the deletion order. So this is more for just protecting resources, like specific resources, and not like the dependencies between each resource, right? If I understand correctly.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, Christian. That's exactly
Okay,
what it sounds like. It's not like kind of
perfect.
capturing the dependencies between them and making sure that they're ordered that way. It's more like, hey, these are protect this one here because it's important, and I
Yeah.
don't want to have to worry about building the usages myself. Let a function do the deal with the usages, instead of me.
hmm And I found interesting that they protect also the composition itself, but like I, I would have expected maybe Crossplane to do it by default. Like if the composition is currently, well, yeah, I guess it's hard to kind of detect, but it's still doable because we know like which objects have been um run through a certain composition, and if there are still references to a specific composition, then don't enable deleting it. I don't know. Could
Yeah,
have been maybe something.
I think we've talked about putting a finalizer on the composition when it gets selected, or the composition or revision actually.
Right.
Maybe the composition as well, but um, yeah, that's something we should probably do. Of
Yeah, it could be interesting.
course, the finalizer doesn't block delete, but doesn't block you from deleting it. It just blocks it from going away. So
Yeah, yeah.
Which is nice. There is a difference to call out there. John, did you want to share a little bit more too about what you were thinking about for your A2E tests?
It's been a minute since I've dealt with that issue because I ended up refactoring them because it was such an issue. Um, but so the EDE test that I have with diff, they use the same framework as upstream. So they spin up everything in the local client cluster, and they do the same create resources to beginning and at the beginning in steps, and then do the test gymnastics, and then like kind of back it all down at the end. But occasionally I would end up in states with hung tests, and I think that the tests were hung because of like incomplete cleanup. I think an incomplete cleanup I think is driven by the XRs being deleted but not torn all the way down, and therefore that putting the composition into use. So I can't deploy like a different version of the composition to test another thing, or there was like sort of implicit dependencies there. And so the ability to even just look at the resource and see, hey, like I'm in use right now, and here's who's using me, would be really useful for figuring out where those like deadlocks are in that test.
I see what you're saying there. Yeah, that is interesting. Cool. All right. Well, I heard from Steven that his network seems to be completely down now. So I don't think he'll come back to finish this demo, but we did get a nice taste of it to kind of understand some of the functionality. And people are aware of this function now, function deletion protection. So do check it out if it seems interesting to your use cases, and leave some, open up issues or whatever if there's anything missing. And with that, I think that was the last thing on the agenda here. So anything else folks want to bring up before we go ahead and adjourn? All right. That sounds like it. Well, thanks everybody for having patience for me and Steven's network issues today. It was good to see everybody. And take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right.